Let's see.
Hello?
Hey, how you
You hear me
doing?
okay?
Yes, you ain't gonna let us see you.
Um, I'm in bed right now.
I don't know why y'all do that to me. Why y'all do that to me? Y'all know I like to see y'all faces. I don't like to be talking to no screens.
Okay, hold
Anyway, I ain't gonna put you on blast since you still in bed. What you doing in bed? Where you at? Where you live?
Pismo.
Huh?
Pismo. Pismo Beach,
Pismo?
California. Pismo.
Oh, it's okay. So you on my time zone? Okay, you get a
Yeah.
pass. I was like, I always assume everybody's in another time zone. I'm like, it's the earliest for me. You
Right.
understand? Okay, you get a pass. Okay.
I
So
don't
what's your
know.
question or
Well,
comment?
it's more of a comment. I don't know what it is with my connection that I have to you because you have me up here early in the morning. I have not been to church in over 15 years. And you not only have me up early on Palm Sunday, but you have me here on StreamYard. And this is the first time I have ever done this. Because, I'm a wallflower. I'm always, I'll watch diligently, faithfully, but I'm going to stay quiet. So this is my first time ever being here. So just bear with me. But I wanted to make the comment about uh, the it's kind of goes along with the book club and how the this last video you did, how it was in conjunction with that last book club that we had. And if we had the second book club that we canceled, and now I think would be part 6 if we stayed on schedule. If we had those other two, I wouldn't have stayed in the space of permeating what we had talked about in the book club, and in particular, what keeps coming to what has been coming to my mind is that one particular man. I can't remember his name, but he was the one that had vermin growing from his body.
Yes, she known. Oh no,
Okay,
no, no, no. I know what you're talking. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hold
I
on.
was trying to look for it in the book while I was waiting to get on, but
Yeah,
I
I know
couldn't
who you're
find
talking
it.
about. Hold on, give me a second. Keep going though.
Mhm.
Tell me what about him?
So, okay, so if I remember correctly, he's in this cave and he's tethered to a rock inside the cave by a leather strap. And
Yep.
during the time that he's in there, these uh, they use the term vermin, but bugs, you know, attach themselves to his body, right? And I
Right.
remember in the moment when I was reading it, and then in the book club, I didn't say anything because, again, yeah, I'm a shy person. But I had this thought at the time, and it's just been permeating over and over and over in my head that, okay, he's in this cave and he's tethered to a rock. I'm like, he put himself in the womb of the mother, and the
Oh,
leather was the umbilical cord.
girl.
And he stayed in there until his actual physical body was impregnated by the vermin, the
Oh,
children
girl.
of the earth, right?
Mm.
So
Yo.
so when he comes out of the cave, he doesn't want these bugs to leave his body, right? So he puts himself on this pedestal. And I remember thinking at the time was like, okay, so he made his body into the mother. Like he went this far to to
Recreate.
to create to turn his body into a womb and then
Mm.
put himself on a pedestal, to separate himself. And at the time, I thought he did to separate himself from the mother. But now that I think about it, I feel as if he was showing other men how they can be one with the mother without having to go through a woman. Because, like you said, the
Mm.
women weren't giving up the secret of life, right? Or
Right,
the
right,
secret of
right.
knowledge, the
No,
secret
I
of
can see
wisdom.
that.
So the
Yep.
the pedestal for a while, I thought the pedestal was him trying to separate, but I don't really believe that anymore. I think this was his platform, if you will. Like this is his YouTube, right? To show these men like this is how I am
I
being one
listen.
with the mother.
Not one with the mother. No, no, no,
O-
no, no, no. No, no,
Okay.
no, no. You're close.
Uh-huh.
This too is how I can become like the mother.
Like the mother. Right. Right. Right.
Because you remember in that discussion about the different types of ascetics, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it was Saint Jerome, by the way. That's on page 36, the
Okay.
the third paragraph down. Saint Jerome is the one that did that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you remember in that conversation about ascetics and one of the aspects was one, they have to punish the flesh. That's what is at the core of asceticism. The
Right.
hatred of the female, right?
Mm-hmm.
The need to permanently punish anything tied to the female. The only tie that males have to the female is their flesh. So that's where the practice of asceticism comes from, the denial of the urges of the flesh, denial of the flesh, and then eventually the punishment of the flesh, the punishing of the flesh itself, right? But I like what you're saying about him going into the cave, him tethering himself to the stone with the strap. All of that is great because it's in par with what she, what's her name? Mary Daly eventually says, is that those things that happen in the daily lives of women is their divine fate is to suffer,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And the only thing that makes what these males have done is because they have taken upon themselves to suffer the way that only females are supposed to suffer. Remember what she said about Gandhi? She said Gandhi did what he did in these relationships with women to do what? To absorb their power to become the male mother. That's what he said. He wanted to become the male mother of a liberated India. That was a quote.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about the usurpation of what they saw as the mother's power. So he wasn't trying to become one with the mother. He was trying, the platform was to raise him up as the male mother.
Okay.
I like what you're saying, though, because I didn't see the tethering that way or him even going into the cave, But yes, it makes sense what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
The attempt, but it goes back to what I just read y'all about in Barbara Moore's book, in The Great Cosmic Mother, right? That these rituals that they create always lead back to a resentment of and an attempt to recreate that which they see in the mother.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
I think what you said is sharp as shit, though. I wouldn't have seen it that way.
Do.
But the end result
Uh-huh.
is not to become one with the mother. It is to, again, experience. Oh,
Yeah,
it's so
I
deep.
see what you're saying.
It's,
Like
wait. Before I lose this thought, it's so deep.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we're saying we're both saying two sides of the same thing. In their malignancy, trying to become the male mother, but the deep origin of trying to become the male mother is the resentment from being kept from the secrets of what it means to be mother.
Yes. And this is what, and I can't remember how long ago our book club was, but this whole time I've been thinking about this particular person, this particular guy. It just keeps permeating. And when I listened to your video, it bookend this thought that I've been kind of struggling with, because being Black, being woman, being in this world, and having to struggle and just having this rage and this anger inside of me, and the only place that I have to project it is at patriarchy, is at men, right? So when I
Right.
watched your video yesterday, it honestly, it really, it didn't anger me, but it frustrated me in the sense of these violations that men do. They're doing it because they want access, and it gave me a sense of compassion that wasn't there. And now I'm still angry, but I don't have a place to put my anger now.
Ah, yes. Oh my gosh, baby, look. Let me tell you. That's such a profound statement. Thank you so much. Because I've gotten so many emails, since I did that live. And some were expressing, like some people, whether they articulated it that way or not, what I was sensing was like this feeling of betrayal, like I had betrayed them with this message.
Mm-hmm.
And some were like, damn, I never thought about it that way. And what I want to say now, because even when I was very, very hesitant, man, I was very hesitant to say that shit that I said last week. I didn't want to say it. That's how deep it was. And because I too was like, nah, this can't explain everything. You feel me? And she said, go back to the medicine, baby. You know the medicine. If you and the earth are one, if the medicine was evolved by watching how our bodies mimic the environment around us, go back to the medicine. The theory is in the medicine. The cure is in this theory, right? She said, go back. And I know the pathogenesis of how all diseases occur, at least in this theory. And so when she started talking about this, the first thing I went to is my rage. Like, I don't fucking trust men. And my lived experience has taught me enough. It ain't some conjecture. It ain't some shit I heard from somewhere else about why I can't trust men. My lived experience since I was a little girl has taught me that I cannot trust males, that I have to protect myself in space with males, that I am never safe alone with males, even males I may love.
Yeah, because boys will be boys.
That shit.
Yeah.
And so when this comes through to say, baby, this is not to blame women. This is not to blame Black women as the progenitors of the world. This is to say, there are some things that you need, Cassandra, to do this work. And force is not going to be the way that you get what you need from your male counterparts. They have to be able to love the way you loved those who inhabited your body. They have to be able, it's not something that you can teach them. We can't teach males how to love the way that we love when we give birth. We can't teach them that. The only thing that we can do is explain, allow them into the spaces that women inhabit. That don't mean all of them. That don't mean all in one lump sum. That doesn't mean anything crazy. But what it does mean is that they have to experience that love. That's the only way that they can give, they can administer that love. They can love, but the love that they experience right now, all of us experience love in a malignant way. All of us experience and express love in a way that is conditioned in some way or another about shoulds and shouldn'ts that we receive from patriarchy. All of us, men, women, all the genders in between, everybody, we experience and give and receive love as colonial subjects. You understand? Within the context of colonialism, the only time that love feels extremely true and unburdened by shoulds and shouldn'ts. You have to give me this. I have to give you that. You have to respect me. You feel me? Before I give you love. You have to show me a certain amount of love before I show you love. None of that is in play. Is that little bit of time from 0 to about 2 before our fears and shit we start pouring into our babies, where it's just whatever makes you happy, baby, that's what I'm going to do. Whatever keeps you safe, that's what I'm going to do. Whatever you need to be is what I'm going to do. You don't have to do anything to get that love from me, right? And so for me, I understand 1,000%, because my knee-jerk response, even as I'm writing this shit out that's coming through me, was I can write the name of every male that has harmed me in my life.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I can visualize the faces of men who have ever said anything terrible to me. May not have put hands on me, but have said something terrible to me. whether it was the boy in high school talking about, my body parts and what he would do to me or whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to say this, it felt like a betrayal. It did. I ain't gonna lie. It felt like a betrayal saying it. And that's why I was so subdued, child. I was subdued that day. I was beside myself. I've been beside myself. I dreaded doing this live today. I'll be honest. Because I ain't said nothing to y'all since then. I ain't said shit to you since. You understand? Reluctant to even return emails because people were upset. People were upset. But I had to sit with it. I had to sit with her and hear without judgment the essence of what she was trying to communicate. It is not to take our rage from us. It is not to absolve men. That's what we spent the whole chapter on asceticism and absolution talking about. It doesn't absolve anyone of wrongdoing, of harm that they have caused. It is to say that for babies like my darling sweetheart, my grandson, Zane, it is to say that for young men, it is to say for men right now who are grown, looking for an answer to end their own isolation, and they cannot seem to find an answer anywhere, looking for a way to explain their rage and where it comes from and why it seems to be directed at females when this is not what they want to be. I've heard men express this. To create an answer that gives a solution, a real solution to the problem, and gives them a way to demonstrate in real time what it is we feel and what it is they have resented and envied in us. That's all. It's to say, baby, this is the slow emerging of things. We recognized it when we talked about the slow emergence of patriarchy itself. We said, damn, that makes sense. That it wasn't some sharp turning point. This happened over thousands of years. The slow emergence of patriarchy, right?
Yeah,
this happened over thousands of years.
And
say that again.
I really had to swallow hard when it was right there in my face that patriarchy is a reaction.
Come on in the room.
Because we talk about, feminism being a reaction to patriarchy, but patriarchy is itself a reaction to
something.
To something. And I don't know what the matriarchal world looked like, but
come on.
Something had to have gone askew in order for the world that we have today. Something had to go wrong. And if women, were in power at that time, and this is just off the top of my dome, if women were in power at that time, then they have had to have, men were probably in our place then like we are now.
That ain't no shit I said. I just want to be clear. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I'm gonna say why I make that sharp distinction. Because under the matriarchy, and that's why even when I was talking about Africa, how we have to do an honest assessment, and Africans want to hyper romanticize Africa before European colonization, and we have to do an honest assessment of what was happening in Africa that gave rise to this, that allowed for us to be so destabilized that a small group of people could overpower Africa. Like, how did it happen? Something was happening. And right. Unless we do an honest assessment, unless we do an honest and thorough historical analysis of what was happening on the continent, we will always be stuck on white man is the devil. And if we just kill all the white people, then everything will just go back to normal. That is ridiculous. That's stupid. That's ignorant as all hell is what it is. You understand? Mm-hmm. But that's what happens when you have a short-sighted understanding of human history. And that's why those in power thrive, is because they count on us being nationalists. Because if we're a nationalist, then we'll only major in African American studies. We'll only major in Mexica studies. That's not to make anybody feel bad about what they took as a major. But we have to learn the history of the whole world and our relationship to one another in it, because all things are linked. All histories are linked, right? That's how I study astrology. If this was happening over here, what was happening in Asia, Africa, the so-called Latin Americas, if this was happening on this period of time that's so significant. I want to know what was happening everywhere in the world of color at the same time. That's how you study history, in a matrix, not in straight lines that do not touch, right? And for us, what we're talking about when we talk about the matriarchy, there is a reason under the patriarchy, under the father, that the female role of human history, the female role in human history as half the human population, has been completely erased from the consciousness of all beings. The history of the mother of the earth, all womb holding people who have given birth to other humans, has been wiped clean from the collective consciousness of every living human on earth. There's a reason for that. So I do not think that what we're experiencing is the consequence of females doing to males what males currently do to females. That I do not accept. Because even when you look at old anthropologists and archaeologists who talk about, the period in human history where there were no jails and there were no prison and there was no poverty and people were thriving and whatever, they just say, okay, well, that was primitive people. They never say that these societies existed under matriarchal leadership. What I am saying is, like when we talked about in The Great Cosmic Mother, what she analyzes as having given rise to patriarchy was males becoming collectively unemployed, essentially, right? All the rituals, all the bonding rituals, all the things that they had done as the collective of hunters, right? Going out, leaving the village for weeks and months at a time to hunt game and bring game back to the village, creating ceremony around that, creating societies of brotherhoods around that. Once hunting was obsolete as a primary or an important source of food for the group, and she says it, she's like, they walking around like, well, damn, what the fuck we gonna do now? We had a whole millennia of our lives defined by hunting, ritual passed down from man to son, man to son, man to son, about what it means to be a hunter, what it means to show up in this way for the community, for the tribe, for the clan. And now it's gone. So what the fuck we gonna do now? Women were the ones who had domesticated animals. And so the women were like, oh, well, y'all can take over this. Y'all can take over, this new project that we got, domesticating animals. We'll still do the digging in the earth, right? We'll still do the agricultural stuff, but y'all gonna take care of these animals. Y'all gonna learn how to breed the animals and so on and so forth. And this was the beginning. This transition in their group identity. This transformation in their group identity as hunters, right? As these strong, militant providers for the community, transitioned into the agrarian domesticator, the husband. That's where we get the whole idea of husbandry, the taking care and rearing and breeding of animals as husbandry. They became the divine husband, right? And once they learned the role, this was not the mythologies, the mythological stories are based on real world scenarios, experiences, and transitions through time. And so this slow emergence of patriarchy was slow, and it was happening everywhere at the same time. It was happening across the planet at the same time. So to ignore astrology, one, is an error on our part, because astrological occurrences impact, big ones like that, impact the whole planet. That's why we can see during the last air sign, the sign of Gemini, all the pyramids were built during the last air sign, Gemini, all along the equator, among people who had not yet made contact with each other. How that happened? How they knew to just build pyramids along the equatorial line from the Americas to Africa to Asia? How they did that? This happened during an air sign. Air sign is the rapid transformation of information across the whole planet. We're entering into this air sign now, right? New ideas, new architecture, new technologies, rapidly disseminating over the entire planet, right? I'm not rambling. I'm making a point.
No, I get you. I think that I probably said, I don't think I was communicating exactly what I was trying to get across. I think what I was trying to say was there a time in prehistory where men just felt second class.
Yes.
That's all I'm trying.
Yes.
Not to say that women did the atrocities to men that men do to the world today.
Absolutely.
It's
Yes.
just that
yes.
That's what I mean.
That's
like,
exactly
I
what I'm saying.
swallow hard because I'm like, okay, so patriarchy.
And I'm gonna tell you, hold on. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, because whether it was intentional or not, whether that was the intention of the mothers, the female societies, the egalitarian society of women, whether that was the intention or not, that was how it was received. Because remember in the live, I talked about these mythologies, and I was like, damn, why are they so pervasive in so many spaces of these mythologies of male deities feigning to be female in order to enter into secret spaces? It's in Greek mythology, it's in Roman mythology, it's in Ifa tradition, huh? It's because Obatala talks about how in the story where Oshun gets mad with the other Orisha for treating her all messed up when they were sent down to prepare the earth for humans, right? And Olodumare tells them, look, y'all better take y'all asses back down there and do what you got to do to bring Oshun back. Y'all offended her and she mad, and you have to make peace with her before anything is going to go right on earth. And so she came back to earth and did all the stuff, but she said, I'm still mad. Like, I still got an attitude because what y'all did was that bullshit. You feel me? So she says, I'm going to make myself pregnant. That's what she said. I'm going to make myself pregnant. And you better hope that the baby that I have is a male. Because if the baby that I have is a female, it's a wrap for all y'all. It's a wrap. And at that moment, they say, is when Obatala it was Obatala that changed the baby in her womb from a female to male, right? So there are all these stories in Greek mythology, even Shango. There are certain stories about Shango that talk about how beautiful he was, that he was so beautiful that he was loved by males and females. That is the story of Aquarius, because that's why Shango is Aquarius. In the African Patreon, Shango is the planet Aquarius. And Aquarius was said to be so beautiful that people could not tell if he was male or female. That all the gods, male and female, wanted him. He was so beautiful. What's his name? Hermes. Is that his name? Hermes, the one with the angel wings on the shoes. He was the messenger.
Or Mercury, between,
Earth and the gods, right? Mm-hmm. Hermes is who is also Mercury in Roman mythology, is a shoe. It's a legba. It's a legba, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in Greek mythology, Hermes was a consort of Africa, who is Venus Oshun, right? Hermes was a consort to Aphrodite, but Aphrodite only allowed females to keep her temples, to know the secrets of the goddess. She only allowed females into the temple. So Hermes was her consort. This was her child, right? And but because he was so thirsty for these secrets that were being kept away from him because he was male, this is where we get the term hermaphrodite from, by the way. It's Hermes in the story, okay? Hermes dresses as a female, disguises himself as a female so that he can enter the temple to his mother and learn all the secrets of his mother, right? That's where the term hermaphrodite comes from, was when Hermes dressed himself as a female to go and steal the secrets of his mother from her temples, right? These stories are all throughout these different societies of the male that disguises himself as a female to get close to the goddess, to get close to these secrets that are kept from him because he is male. It's indicated even throughout some of these places, like in Egypt and all throughout Europe, where if a male presented in a way that was very effeminate, right? The only way he could become a consort in the temple was to do what? Was to become a eunuch, was to self-castrate. This may be where some of the resentment comes from.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We, even in that movie, what was the movie? The Woman King, right? The Woman King. Remember that movie?
I do not.
With Viola Davis. It came out maybe 2 years ago. But anyway, in The Woman King, you should watch it. They have a temple eunuch there, a male who lives as one of the priestesses in the temple, in the palace. So eunuchs existed in every culture, right? These people who we may today would call like two-spirit people, or multi-gendered people. Like Africa has stories about multi-gendered people who present with more than one gender. But it may be that it would be an interesting thing to understand. It may be that the denial of access to our sons in these spaces where we've kept these secrets, quote, of the mother, it may be that she's just saying, now we can't afford secrets, that the males have to, the only way to heal them is to understand what love looks like coming from a mother, how to experience that as a male. Since you are half female, you have the capacity to love. You have the capacity to love deeply, even if you do not have the capacity to give birth. That you don't have to envy the blood rituals of women. You don't have to control and dominate the blood rituals of women to experience the love of the mother both ways, giving the love of the mother and receiving the love of the mother. We have a responsibility to teach them that and then trust them enough to experience and demonstrate that. You understand?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And this thought that men have the capacity to experience love like women love flies in the face of today's ideology. I would never say this in a BWE space, right? I'd be crucified.
What's that? DWE?
Black Women's Empowerment.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because the pervasive thought is that men can't love. Men don't have the capacity. Not only do they not have the capacity to love, but they are, what's the word? When something doesn't work right, it's like they're born dysfunctional. They're born, I'm sorry, the word is not coming to me right now, but defective. That's the word. They're born defective, and there's no way that they can love.
Now, let's pause. What does that say about us? If we accept because I think, listen, you know how I'm always telling y'all, I think everything is the police. Everybody is everybody's suspect until they prove they ain't suspect.
Right.
Everything that does not like hit right with my spirit sound like some patriarchal shit. Sound like some patriarchal manipulation to further create divisions among those who otherwise should be allies. That's what it sounds like to me. To say that males are born flawed is to say that the mother is flawed. Is to say that the process is not perfect. What is the process? The process of maintaining our presence on the planet, the regenerative process that emanated from the body of the parthenogenic producing mother. To say that is inherently flawed, why? Because again, females are flawed. Because again, females are dirty. Females, right? It still goes back to that kind of patriarchal condemnation of female flesh and all the processes associated with it being filthy, dirty, flawed, inherently flawed. That's the only way we as women can accept an idea, whether we recognize it or not, that somehow our sons who are half us are inherently flawed.
Yeah.
It makes it easy for us to be okay with hating men, It makes it easy. It gives us an explanation. And there's plenty that patriarchy does to give us an explanation about why we should hate men, why we should feel unsafe around men. And I am not, listen, just as I say that I would never deny a black person or brown person or a red person or a yellow person their right to say I hate white people. They have a lived experience that teaches them that they have every right to hate white people. They have every right to fear white people. They have every right to fear for their safety, their sanity in space with white people. I would never deny somebody that. Never.
Right.
I would hope that over time, through what it is we trying to build, that we can right these wrongs that exist between us. But I would not deny nobody saying, look, I don't fuck with white people like that. You got it, Cassandra, that's you. You understand? Right. Same way with a woman that says, I don't fuck with men, period. I don't trust them. I don't like them. I hate them. She has enough of a lived experience that tells her this is what it takes to self-preserve. She has it. I have that. Every female I know has enough experiences in their life to say, okay, I can't trust motherfucking men. I would never deny no woman saying, you got it. This the world you're trying to create. I get it. But right now, this is the way the world is, and I don't fuck with them. I don't fuck with them. And I'll be like, that's all right, baby. No judgment. Really, no judgment. Hopefully, we can create in real time a world where that world disintegrates. That world where we do not feel safe in space with our sons. We have to claim ownership of them. We can't have it both ways. The temple of evolutionary emergence is what? We say the temple of evolutionary emergence is the uterus. It's the one thing that binds us all. It's the one thing we all got in common. Can we make that the center? Can we say, okay, the temple of evolutionary emergence, the uterus, that gave us all permission to be, gave us all permission to exist, right?
Right.
This is the thing that unifies us all. This is the thing that binds us all. And can I honor your sovereignty for that reason alone, that you got a mama and I got a mama, and they are the evidence of God on earth, God in the material realm. They're bleeding over us to ensure that we existed. They're feeding us even when they didn't know if we were going to be made real or not. The care that they took for us, the protection that they showed for us. This is the unifying thing. And males are half females. They're not mutants, though we would like to call them that. They aren't malignant versions of us. The mother saw fit for them to exist, continues to see fit for them to be born and exist.
Right.
And so until she says, okay, pump the brakes on that, no more males. Until she says that, what role can we play as females to try to win in them? That one, just to hear, maybe this is the cause of your isolation, and we should bring you into space, still creating processes that guarantee sovereignty and safety in space. I ain't saying just run the fuck out and embrace any man you see because, he acting out because of this old shit that happened, and what he's suffering from is separation anxiety because we as the egalitarian collective of women didn't let the males into the space. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still saying everything that I have said before. Women need to take self-defense classes. Women need to learn how to fire arms. Women need to learn how to break somebody's kneecaps if they need to. This is the world that we live in, but multiple things can be true at the same time. Right. Recognizing the rage that we're experiencing in the behavior of men. It's not just some blanket hatred of women or want to, quote, dominate women. It is a deep and seething rage that is old and not yet resolved. How do we provide, as the mothers, as the first ones here, who else is going to come up? Who else is going to express an ideology like this? It can't be anybody who is not sitting in ceremony all the time with the mother saying, look, can you make this shit plain so we can go ahead and get this shit to popping already? Can we go ahead and solve this shit already? I don't care how uncomfortable it is. If I need to know it, let me see. If it's going to make this work easier, let me hear. I did not want to say that shit to y'all. But she said, now sit your ass down for a week, bury your ass in this dirt, and let me tell you what they suffer from. This seething rage that they have, its seed is grief. When we talk about resentment, when we talk about fear, when she talked about that in The Great Cosmic Mother, the seed of that is grief. Remember I said in the live that damn quote that what's his name in the Panther movie? What's the that Michael B. Jordan's character? What was his name?
Oh God, I can't remember.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? And they said he said something to the effect of the child not embraced by the village, the child made outcast by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Isn't this the behavior of males that we see in the world?
Yeah.
Destructive even to their own end.
Mm-hmm.
That's rage. But that rage is centered in grief. There is a longing there to feel the warmth of the village that it has been denied. That longing, that isolation, that grief becomes the seething flames of rage that become insanity. That become wild insanity, untamed insanity. That's the pathogenesis of how grief becomes insanity in traditional Chinese medicine and 5 elements theory. Grief untreated becomes the heat and the fire that harasses the heart that causes mental illness. That's what we're seeing. I'm saying the treatment for that is, cool and cold herbs, you feel me? Cool and cold therapies, or love. I hate to say it, but we can love and still love from afar. We can love and still protect ourselves. We can still demonstrate what it's going to take for men to be made well, to not feel like somehow they're sacrificing a half of themselves. They present certain ways because they need to. I'm not asking men to deny themselves masculinity. I'm not asking men to deny themselves access to power. I'm not asking men, I'm not demanding of men to be more female-like, because that's what happened with the eunuchs. The female priestesses in the temple required that the males be more female-like in order to be in the space, be more female-like to have access to the secrets of the mother. They had to literally castrate themselves in order to worship in the temple or to be guardians in the temple. That's not what I'm asking of men, to be more female-like. I'm not asking men to do that, to become worshipers of the mother, to become those who center and protect the ambitions of the mother, to reemerge, to be reborn in the new age. I'm not asking men to deny themselves power. I just want them to embrace true power and not malignant power. True power is in the mother, right? And so that's what we have to teach them, even while we are taking self-defense classes and learning how to fire a piece and learning how to break kneecaps and doing all the things that we need to preserve our own selves. But what we're calling on men to do is what I've been saying all this time. All this time, we've been protecting men. We've been covering men. We've been taking care of men. Einstein's wife was his mama. She made sure he ate on time. She cleaned up after him. All that shit that y'all want from us. But it's your turn to be the mother. To be the mother to the re-emerging Black goddess, to be the mother. That's all of us. That's the whole collective. This is the whole global womb right here surrounding the little baby embryo. That is the mother re-emerging. Yeah, the mother re-emerging. I know that sounds deep. We have to make that something that becomes a political statement that people can resonate with. They may not be able to hear males becoming the mother to the re-emerging mother. But that's how they have to love. They cannot continue to love like the father, because the father is a malignant version, a toxic version of the mother's love. It always has been. There's no place in human history where the father, I'm talking about as an archetype, where the father's execution and administering of love was not always antagonistic to the administering of the mother's love. Always. It was always conditional. Father's love was always conditional. That's why it's so easy. Go ahead.
What's the I have, this is open up a whole different line of questions. I know you have other people coming down.
Well, nobody else has clicked on the link to be to talk. So you're fine.
Problem. So it's you and me. We got this. So this is like a two-part question. This new world that we're birthing.
Say that again.
This new world that we're birthing, and I'll tie this back into what you're talking about, the Father. This new world that we're birthing. Do we even know what this looks like? And if so, what does it look like in personal life? Like how do we take this high concept and bring it down into your personal everyday life to live it authentically? What does that look like?
Those things are happening simultaneously.
Okay.
So those things have to happen simultaneously, right? So when I talk to you about,
and before you answer, this is going to tie back into the Father, because like you said, men are here because they have a purpose. So the idea or the creation of the Father had to have a purpose as well. How do we reposition the Father into its correct position so that it works and functions the way it was meant to? And what is that? What is that function?
Okay, so that's a deep question. Let's go back to the first one.
Okay.
So, and I feel like this is one of the things that's happening in real time, whether it's in the book club, because I tell y'all, everything that I do is purposeful. Everything that I do is for this unfolding of this vision. I have a clear vision of what the future looks like. I have a clear vision of what technology looks like in the future. I have a clear vision of the role of AI in creating this world that we're talking about. I do not fear AI at all. I do not fear AI. The reason that AI is profound and it's important right now, and the reason that there's so much narrative trying to get, and there has been for about 40 or 50 years, this narrative trying to get us to fear the age of robots, fear the age of AI and shit like that, is because of the potential that it represents to free us from labor. That's what it represents. And if you have 4 motherfucking men who control all the technology, then all it's going to do is deepen and exacerbate our lack and our longing and our suffering. But if AI is in the hands of the global population, AI liberates us from labor. Because what capitalism has done is turned all of us into commodities. Every person born on this planet is a commodity for the creation and recreation of real life for the selected few. We all, whether we're upper middle class or whether we're working class, we are all commodities. And our proximity, just what it does is it provides a buffer for those who run and control the world the way that it is. AI represents a real threat to that dichotomy. AI represents a real opportunity to completely destroy the chasm between those who have and those who don't have. For the first time in human history, AI really represents the possibility of a global revolution that completely does away with the systems of workers and bosses. It does, depending upon who holds control of that technology when it is unleashed in mass. You understand? And so all of these movies that have been made over the last 50 years or so, getting us terrified of AI and, oh my God, I'm going to have to compete with a robot for my job. That ain't it. If you, as the worker, as the prior worker, I don't call us workers anymore, but you, as a global population, now everything that we produce is for the benefit of the global population. AI becomes an instrument that expedites that process of completely eliminating the need for human labor. See, whenever we have technological advances, what they're supposed to do is make life easier as we evolve. All technologies are supposed to make life easier. Is to take us further and further away from the brunt force of labor, having to labor as a commodity to earn your right to exist on the planet. That's what it does. That's what it means to be a commodity. to work, to labor, to earn your right to drink water, to earn your right to electricity, to earn your right to X, Y, and Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
What AI represents for the first time in history is a radical technological leap forward that has the ability to liberate us from labor. Everybody who incarnates is fully cared for because the production of real life, the production of resources, the production of things that we can buy on the market, the productions of things that we need is now animated. It doesn't require human suffering. It doesn't require human blood, sweat, and tears to generate these things. Now our intellect has created an apparatus, an instrument that can produce for us, liberating our higher chakras so that we can think more profoundly, we can rest more deeply, we can contemplate greater things. This happened during the last age, the last air age, where now they're saying the last air age is when, like the universe was charted and, and people started writing and the medical schools at Timbuktu were created and all of this leap forward in the imagination, the freeing up of the higher chakras. Maslow's hierarchy of needs says the same thing. It's theft, of course, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks about once those foundational needs are met, it allows you to evolve through your own chakras to where you can contemplate deeper. You can't contemplate deeper ideas when you got to work a 40-hour work week and do 2 hours a night of homework with your kids, right? AI represents an opportunity for the first time in a very long time for the first time ever, to completely animate the workforce, liberating human beings from the toil of labor.
So you're saying that AI
if human beings are liberated from the toils of labor, will prisons exist? Will prisons need to exist? Once every incarnate has a right to exist on the planet, cared for, needs met by the earth the way she intended it in the first place. Once the workforce is liberated, right? Animated, right? The preschool to prison pipeline, will there be a need for hierarchies at all? Right? There will be no need to glorify millionaires and billionaires if the workforce is animated and we are all guaranteed the ability and the ease to live. This is the vision that I have and the role that AI plays in that. Go ahead and say what you were going to say, but there's something else I want to add to that.
In Christian mythology, work was punishment.
Yes.
For sin. So
yes.
Are you saying that, spiritually speaking, AI is the redeemer?
You took it way left field. That is not what the fuck I'm saying.
Okay.
But I can see that was deep. That was not what I was expecting. Wow. Yo, that was, girl, where that came from? No, I wouldn't say AI is the redeemer.
Because you were saying that we will be released from the toil of work. AI
and
will
like
do
you
that.
and like you said, and it's not just Christian mythology. Christian mythology, a lot of what we know as Christian mythology that we think is old was actually created within the last 400 years.
Yeah,
right?
That's just what I grew up on, and
I know I did too. I'm not demoting. I'm just saying a lot of what we think is a couple thousand years old is actually only 200 to 400 years old. Right? They just started adding shit as they came along, and as their relationships with the means of, I'm talking about the progenitors of Christianity, as their relationship to the means of production changed, you can see how the theology changed, right? And so there are things that are added as needed. So like when we were reading in Pure Lust, she was talking about how the whole what was it called? What is it called? Divine. It's not divine. Is it divine inception? When he talked about how the only way Jesus The only way Mary could give birth to Jesus is if the Immaculate Conception.
Immaculate Conception.
The Immaculate Conception. That the Immaculate Conception literally was created in the late 1800s as a response to the first wave of feminism. Do you remember reading that in Pure Lust?
Mm-hmm.
So they pick and choose and create theologies based on the changes in their relationship to the means of production, because the church is fed by the means of production, and whoever controls the means of production at any given time, whether it's the nobility or whether it's the state. And what the ideology does is justify the behavior of the state. And that ain't my opinion. V.I. Lenin talked about it. Karl Marx talked about it. Mary Daly talked about it from a feminist perspective. These ideologies change and are malleable based on their change in relationship to the means of production. How they gonna get their loot? How they gonna keep themselves fat at the expense of the workers? So it becomes workers, and that's why we accept it, that we have to work these bullshitting ass jobs. My mom worked the same job from the time I was 11, and she just retired 2 years ago. From the time I was 11, and she just retired 2 years ago. Back-breaking work, especially for a woman. She worked at a nuclear plant all them years, and her body's paying for it, right? And so, but we do it because, that is the language that exists all throughout it. Work, hard labor is punishment for crime. Some sin you committed, some flaw, some inherent flaw of your sinful, lowly self. And so that idea becomes ingrained in us. And so we create narratives to make ourselves feel a little bit better about it. Hard work, discipline, perseverance, a life defined by struggle. You start to wear struggle as a badge of honor. Look at how many struggles I've gone through. Look at how many struggles I've persevered through. I'm a survivor.
I'm a strong Black woman.
Okay. Everything becomes a badge of honor that concretizes in your brain and everybody around you that the only way is to suffer. The only way is to struggle. The only way is laborious. While everything in your flesh is resisting it. Everything in your body is like, you don't want to fucking go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. You don't want to be up at 4 o'clock in the motherfucking morning to go to some job that you ain't even getting paid the value of your labor. What is the value of your labor? What you say it is. Not somebody telling you you got to work for $4 an hour, $7 an hour, $15 an hour, while you generating all the wealth around you that you see. Imagine the dichotomy. I told y'all last week about this damn condominium. I thought it was $350,000. My neighbor was like, girl, you crazy. She said the cheapest condo in there is $1.3 million. I'm telling you, these Mexicans built this goddamn condominium complex behind our apartment complex in less than 8 months. It wouldn't be outside the possible. It was like 6 months because I was like, we had just moved in here. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is what we're gonna wake up here every day for a year, 2 years. Like, how long is it gonna take them to build this shit? Child, they had this shit erected out of a flat earth in goddamn 6 to 8 months. $1.3 million is the cheapest unit in there. But them Mexicans was getting paid $25 goddamn dollars an hour on this institution that will generate wealth as long as it stands. Were they getting paid the value of their labor? The value of their labor is these 1.5 million, 1.3 million, 2.5 million goddamn dollar condominiums. That's the value, but they don't benefit from the value of their labor.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so, so this thing will continue to generate wealth and generate wealth and generate wealth and generate wealth. And everybody that lives in them will flip them and turn them over and become wealthy. And meanwhile, he got paid $25 an hour to build this institution of wealth, continuing wealth, where he got to go find another bullshit ass job for another $25 an hour, just to hope that with his full-time working partner, they can keep living in the city of Los Angeles, where the cheapest, my rent is $2,365 now, $2,365 now. You understand? Where they can hope to live bare minimum, because I live in rent control. My rent control, I have rent control, so they don't go up every year. right? Or they can only go up a certain percentage every year. But so all he can do is struggle to hope that he can find another job where he erects another monument of wealth generation, and never not have the opportunity to have stock in the place or nothing. Don't get kickbacks every time it's nothing. You see what I'm saying? So the future, I think AI is going to play a radical role if we can get our minds around how AI is not an enemy from Terminator or fucking iRobot or some shit like that, where we're going to have to be competing with robots for a job. That's not the future of humanity, is looking for a fucking job, is having a job that defines who you are as a person. The first thing you ask somebody that's a potential boo is, what you do for a living? Yes. I live for a living. Yes. I live for a living. Now, ask me about who I am as a person. Ask me about my mama. Ask me about what artistic vision I have for how I can contribute to this beautiful world we have created. Not what you do for a living. Mm-hmm. Right? That's one thing. I want to build a school. I want to build a Harry Potter style, big, giant, wonderful school that's full of magic and science and mathematics and agriculture and health and wellness. I want to teach little kids where babies come from, right? I want to teach teenagers how to be midwives, or mid people. We got to come up with a new word for it. How do we get boys just as enthusiastically excited about the birth giving process as little girls? Right? How do we create I want to build a school. That is, as a matter of fact, I think it's the temple's first order of business. I want to build a school. I have a sense of urgency because I got grandbabies that I don't ever want to enter into the public school system. I got grandbabies that I want to build a school for. But I'm like, what do I want that school to look like? I want that school to be immersive. I want them to be outside. I want them to be able to put their feet in the raw earth. I want them to learn how to fish. I want them to learn how to weave together. And what does this symbolically mean when groups of people come together and create a tapestry where everybody's skills are necessary and represented in the tapestry? I want them to learn that with their hands, like I did in the 5th grade, learning how to weave a rug, right? I want them to learn that magic is real. What is the evidence of magic in the real world? What does it look like? How does it show itself? And I want them to learn all the deep sciences, and that science is the language of spirit. It's not separate from spirit. It's the language. It's how spirit communicates. It's through science, right? So, yeah. And then I want old people to be in the school. I want old people to be in the school. I want to have a 0 through 99 school with skills and trades if people want them. But I want people's minds to be blown the fuck open. That's what I want. I want the unity of heaven and earth. Let me take a note before I forget. Oh, that might be the name of the school. That might be the name of the school. We got the name of the school for the simple, y'all. The School of Unity of Heaven and Earth. Anyway, let me read some of these comments. Woman, we going on the 3-hour mark. I'm just running my mouth. You ain't got to go nowhere, though. Hold on. Being chosen is, to me, so is elitist. Oh, yes. Come on. I don't know who Akeem is, but I like him. Being chosen is so elitist to me, a false sense of pride. That's why these elites feel like it's okay for them to spill so much blood, because they feel that they are chosen to be like the mother. Yes. I've always felt uncomfortable with that. The idea of like a talented 10th, the chosen few, the 144,000. I don't care what tradition it is. I don't care where it comes from. In the party, the chairman used to say, we are the best sons and daughters of Africa. The fuck, right? That sounded great at the time, but Like, damn. Yes, that I appreciate that comment. Yet they spill the blood that's never their own. Yesterday I was thinking about how psycho sounds like cycles in a way. Oh wow, that's kind of deep. I like it when y'all get deep on me like that. This is so profound yet so naturally obvious. Thank you, 4K Walks and Travels. Keep it coming, God. um, yes, I was telling my family this yesterday. We got to take care of our heart. Yes. Listen, I might need to, so I did the liver. I did, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I did the liver. Remember, I was telling you I was going to teach y'all 5 elements theory, and I started with the liver because we're in the liver season. The next on the cycle is the heart. So we're going to spend some time this coming week on the heart. I'm still going to talk to you guys a little bit about the liver. There's still some things I wanted to share with you about the liver, but we're going to do the heart this coming week. I'll let you guys know when. Right. I slowed down and said, I get it. I grasp it's being caught in these cycles of our time, and it's start to fragment us in a different way, like a DVD or a record that has a scratch. Interesting. Earth equals heart, end point of a new beginning. Let's see. Yes, this is everything, because we are always in the womb. We are always within the body of our mother. So it's like being in the womb, being hit triple time with those projections. They get a demonstration from their fathers and makes in the environment. I don't know what is meant by that. Amen, sis. I'm an only son and the youngest. I got a lot of that from my mother. I was expecting that from Black women. I love me some Black women. All I date is Black women. I love the goddess. My little brother, when he was born, my heart melted. I love him so much. Oh, happy Earth Day to your grandson, my little boo. Y'all don't understand that boy. That is my boo. He is but he is also a pandemic baby. He was born 3 weeks after lockdown. And so I think that these pandemic babies are here to teach us something. Because Kalani is very loving, very sweet, but she's very sensitive. Her feelings are so easily hurt. Zane is a typical Aries baby. He is an Aries baby. You feel me? He is rambunctious. He off the chain. But he represents the two extremes, like harmoniously fluid in his own little body. Is as rambunctious and off the chain as he is as sweet and loving. And because this is a theory, because these pandemic babies spent the first year of their life not seeing people's mouths move as they were learning to talk, right? This is a sensory deprivation, not seeing their mouths move, not seeing people's whole faces. I feel like their other senses like heightened. And so his heightened sense is touch. He is such an empathic baby. He is such an intuitive baby. He feels people. You don't have to say anything, and he'll walk up to you. Since he was little bitty, you okay, Yaya? Yaya, you okay? I could be just, not even thinking about anything deep, just like in my mind, like I get this look on my face when I'm determined, when I'm like, and he'll be like, Yaya, you okay? You okay, Yaya? He feels everything. And he is so thirsty for skin on skin touch. We'll be sitting on the couch watching TV, and he'll lift my shirt up just enough that his arm can touch my belly while he's leaning against me while we're watching TV. He is very, very empathic, very, very loving. And I think these babies that were born within that from the time pandemic, lockdown happened to about 2 years, any baby born in that period of time, these are going to be radical babies. And we have to pay attention, because people will be attempting to medicate these babies. People will be attempting to diagnose these extremes in their heightened senses in the other areas that they were deficient from being able to watch people's mouths, to learn to speak, their deep hearing, their deep sensing, their deep emotional intuition, people will be attempting to stifle that. We have to watch these babies. Zane just turned 4. Like I said, he was born literally 3 weeks after lockdown. We have to be careful, one, not to stifle this in these babies, not to stifle because we're uncomfortable what these babies are expressing. They're here to teach us something. And 2, not to let somebody diagnose your baby as somehow deficient. ADD, ADHD, behavioral disability, learning disability. We have to sharpen and protect these babies. They're here to teach us something. This baby is so profound. And every pandemic baby that I have met is equally profound. Okay. Let's see. I never blame women. I just want to figure it out so we together can coexist and express love. That is from Taki Yazid. Free Palestine, says Reverend Brianna Lind. A great mother loves her son. He is my son. Oh, I love that. I love that. The brother that's on the temple committee, the founding committee for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, Abbasi, says, he says, before I even learned anything about the great cosmic mother, when I was just a revolutionary, I always used to say, I'm my mother's son. That's who I am. I'm my mother's son, right? My son, Ja's son. I like this. My daughters overthrew her as well, and now it's up to us to correct this mess. Men need to be taught to face the challenges of being men. They need to expect to be tried. It looks like women and children together and men in separate places at minimum. That's the first step. I don't know that that's the first step. I think that I don't know that that's the first step. That's not what I'm trying to create with the temple. I'm not trying to create separation. I've been telling y'all that from day one, that even if it's just these 2 hours that we're in space together, like once we have an actual brick and mortar temple, once we're in this space together, what can we command of the space that guarantees individual sovereignty in the space? Even if it's for these 2 hours, this is what the future looks like. Men, males, females, all the genders, all the races, from old to baby, coexisting harmoniously in a space, because there is an oath that we take to not only protect, but to honor everyone's sovereignty in the space, no matter your background, no matter who you came from, no matter where you came from, no matter your ideology, that in these 2 hours, in this ceremony, in this space where we hold temple services or whatever, this is the guarantee, this is the promise that we make to one another, to see the future right now in this space, in these 2 hours, to be an example of what the future can be, to create the future in real time. Yes, those isms still exist in the world, but can we create the future in real time? This is what it looks like. This is what is required. This is the commitment that we make to one another in this space. And then if you do not fulfill the commitment, then we'll have you escorted the fuck out the space. You can't have access to the space if you cannot commit to honoring the future. If you cannot commit to honoring sovereignty in the space. It's that simple. Because I'm not talking about no frou-frou shit. I really am not. I am crystal clear about what radical transformation usually brings out in those that do not see themselves in the future. It brings out sharpening of rage, right? So I'm not talking about no frou-frou shit. I'm talking about when we come together as a Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, we have protocols. This is the honor that you make before you walk into the space, before you even walk in the doors. This is the oath that you have to take that applies to these 2 hours that you in our space. What you do outside the space is on you. What we hope is that we create in you through this process a way to see the future made real in your mind's eye. Damn, that was radical. What happened in them 2 hours? everybody from every space in every walk of life existing harmoniously, honoring each other's sovereignty, seeing sameness in each other because we have that thing that unifies us all in common. The temple of evolutionary emergence, the uterus, is what binds us all. The portal that transforms all the potentialities of the entire universe into a material force to execute a destiny in real time. This is what I'm trying to create. So I don't know. I don't accept that. I do accept what I said before. Because I'm not trying to create frou-frou, hippie shit. Let's all just stop in place. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about absolutionism. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. Let's just all start over. It's just a restart button. We all equal and we all the same. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying even as we have to create these spaces that are exemplary of the future that we want to see made real, right? That we still have to recognize that we live in a world that has been completely swayed off balance, and to be able to cover and protect ourselves while creating this world, to be able to create and implement protocols when we bring strangers into a space to say, do you agree to take this oath to honor the sovereignty of every incarnate in the space? These are the consequences if you fail to meet this commitment. You can't be up in here challenging and encroaching on people's sovereignty. You can't be in a space like that. Well, toss your ass the fuck out of here. That's what that means. That at all costs we will protect and defend everybody's sovereignty up in the space. And then you walk out of the space, hopefully implementing that feeling of what true individual sovereignty looks like within the whole. Within the whole, right? That's what I'm trying to create. I was responding to 4K Walks and Travels when she said it looks like women and children together and men in separate spaces at minimum. That's the first step. I don't accept that. I think that's part of the problem. That's the problem that we're saying that this download came from in the first place, was the casting out of the males of the egalitarian circle of women. There are enough males that we know. That's why I talked about the man that allowed us to facilitate this ritual on his property, who there is something in them calling to them, just like she's calling to us. This seemingly regular, everyday, middle-aged white guy who owns this multi-million-dollar property in the middle of the desert meets a working class Black woman. And I say, look, I got this radical idea for this property. How radical can I get? Like, are there some boundaries? You feel me? He was like, do what you will, and I will support it. Do what you will, and I will support it. I can't even tell you what that meant. He charges $17,000 for a 4-day retreat on his space. Child, that is not what the fuck he charged us. Not even remotely close. Not even remotely close. You understand what I'm saying? That's what's called putting your money where your mouth is. I may not agree with everything that you say, but I support what it is you're trying to create. Let me demonstrate that to you. That's what I'm talking about when I mean for men, giving men the opportunity to show up with the mother's love, to demonstrate with the love of a mother you're invested in, you protect, you cover, you surround, you support. That's what I mean when I say the world has to give birth to the re-emerging Black mother, to cover, support, surround. That's what he did. He was still his very alpha male self. You know what I'm saying? He was still his very, very alpha male self. But he's like, I am on board. How can I show up for you? How can I support what it is you're doing? Just tell me. And that's what he did. Seemingly everyday, regular white guy from Cleveland. You understand? And we were able to completely let go. We were able to fully be safe and relaxed in our bodies to do this thing that we needed to do. Completely certain that we were covered, that we were surrounded, that we were going to be okay. While we could be completely focused on what it was we were trying to do with the mother. Right? So, That's the world we're trying to create. I'm not trying to create malignant versions of men. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm not trying to create eunuchs, spiritual eunuchs in males. I'm not trying to do that. I'm saying males are of our body. The mother saw fit for them to exist just as they are in their bodies. How can they tap in to the maternal side of themselves, their X chromosome? How can they tap into that to become harmonious expressions? Just like we need to become harmonious expressions, because women ain't perfect. We are impacted by colonialism and patriarchy too. How do we become harmonious expressions of the divine harmony between the sacred masculine and the divine feminine, the mother and the son within all of us, right? We need to demonstrate that to them, even as we're working it out for ourselves and vice versa. I'm not asking males to, to kowtow or anything like that. I'm telling you to show up because you feel the call, because you hear the call and you see how it can ease your suffering. It can alleviate your isolation. It can end your longing. It can alleviate the resentment and the jealousy and the fear that you have felt by being cast out from the circles of women. There are men that we can bring into that space now and know that we can be okay. We know them. We know men close to us who are able to hear. We can start with them. They can become the example, just like this brother that's on the founding committee of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I tell him all the time, you have to be the articulator of what it means to, what does he call himself? He calls him a gorilla of the matriarchy or something to that effect. You have to be able to articulate to males who cannot yet hear what I'm saying coming out of my mouth, but they can hear it coming from a man. That's okay. Your conditioning is deep. You can't hear the truth coming from a woman right now. That's okay. I get it. Your conditioning is deep. So we need males who can articulate the ambitions of the mother, the will of the mother, and males be able to see this manly man, this masculine man saying, look, I'm a gorilla for the matriarchy. I fight on behalf of the mother. Whatever her will is, that's what I'm about. Say what? And what? I will defend and protect the spaces that the mother creates. And what? Yeah. So, yes. What you got to say? I hear you took a deep breath.
No, I would forgive
me. I hear it all. Girl, I can hear you thinking, okay?
Yes, the wheels and the smoke right now.
Say that again?
I said the wheels and the smoke right now.
Girl, I can hear the engine turning.
I'm just trying to picture what this looks like for Taj and Taj's daily life.
Huh?
I'm trying to picture what this looks like for Taj and Taj's daily life. How does Taj facilitate the love for the mother's love for? I'm probably not saying this right, but I'm hoping you're understanding where I'm coming from. How do I live that every day? How do I live that authentically every day?
Well, I'll say this. I've said this before, actually, where I take into myself criticisms from others that I think will be impactful for what it is I'm trying to execute. I'm going to say this, like I was saying earlier, I don't condemn people, black, brown, red, yellow people who say they hate white people, right? And those same people who have criticized me for my relationships or proximity to white people, right? I don't condemn women who say, I hate men. I don't trust them as far as I can throw one. I don't fuck with them. That's you. And why you so close to men? Why you still be seeking relationships with men? So along with their expression of their opposition to these things, there is a criticism that they also afford for my proximity to these spaces. Yeah. I am still a human. I still have human longings and and things that I need to unlearn, because, capitalism, colonialism, those things are ever present. They're constantly teaching us something, and the work of deconstructing and reconstructing is ongoing. And I share that with y'all all the time. I don't keep shit secret. If it's a breakthrough for me, I feel like it's probably going to be a breakthrough for somebody else, and I'm going to share. I'll put my shit out in the open. I'll lay my shit bare, and hopefully somebody can get fed from it or whatever. I'm saying that because in my daily walk, the thing that has been the most difficult for me to do, but the thing that I'm doing much more often is there is a time where I would keep, under the guise of keeping the peace, I wouldn't check the shit out of people, right? And that is something that was very difficult for me. I'm a Virgo. That is a very Virgo. I don't have many Virgo attributes, but that is definitely one that I have. The peacekeeper, right? Mm-hmm. To a fault, right? And so that's one thing that I've been really struggling with, because I've always been clear since I was very young that there was a reason that all of these different types of people would come into my life. Even though I grew up in a Black community, ever since I was little, the first boy I ever had a crush on was Vietnamese. You know what I'm saying? Relationships with Hawaiians and Filipinos, and like how do these things happen where I am drawn and other people are drawn to me since I was very young? I was 5 years old. I had a crush on a boy named Bo. I was 5. I can remember it clearly. 5 years old, kindergarten, had a crush on this little Vietnamese boy named Bo. You know what I'm saying? Like these seemingly randomly chaotic events that have always brought broad spectrums of people into my life, right? It didn't make any sense for most of my life. And then I got my Akashic records opened in 2018. And in the Akashic records, that's what was revealed to me, is that there's no accidents, there's no randomness. This is how you're going to have to communicate in the world to many. You're going to have to be able to communicate in a way that no matter what language you speak, the whole world will be able to understand what you are communicating. This requires relationships with the many. This is what this has always been about. This is what it's always been about. Now, I'm mind blown because I was like, what the fuck? But I'm saying that because in response to your question, how do I live this daily? Mm-hmm. The way that I live this daily, and it's hard, baby. It's a discipline. It's not something that just comes easily, because people's conditioning can piss you the fuck off, and it can show up in subtle and not so subtle ways, even among people that you like or you fuck with or that you even love, right? But I keep my eyes on that which I have always, as an adult, as a conscious adult, been clear about. I want to change the world. I know that is why I am here. So I can maneuver through y'all bullshit because I know y'all colonized. I know y'all conditioned. So I'm only going to let you get on my nerves so much, but I'm going to administer some grace. I'm not telling anybody else that they have to do that. Black women are well within their rights to be cussing everybody the fuck out right now. Well within their rights. And I'm not telling nobody to move through the world the way that I do. My walk through this life is peculiar to me. It is the mother's peculiar expression of something that she needs through me. And we all have a peculiar expression. My expression may not be what is necessary for you, but I'm telling you, in my daily walk, having a clear image in my mind's eye of what I want the world to be, whether I am here to witness it or not, the world that I want to create radically and rapidly so that my grandchildren can experience. Okay? Yeah. Having that in my mind, even when I was a Black nationalist, still the same world, boo, still the same world. Having that in my mind's eye and letting that guide my interactions with human beings and saying, situation to situation, how do I respond to this situation. Because what's one of the very first things that I've said in doing these lives and shit, right, is that even the live that I did last week, it was called God is the moment. Not God is in the moment. God is the moment. What is the thing that I've been saying through the last 5 years of doing lives? Is that every moment we are planting a seed. Every moment we are creating a future. Are we recreating the past in the future? All the ails of the past, all the terrible things of the past, or are we creating the new? Are we recreating the old, or are we creating the new? In every single moment, that guides me. It's exhausting, but it guides me, because I will be the determining factor in someone's life, whether I'm conscious of it or not. How I behave, how I talk to them, how I show them mercy, how I choose not to cuss them out when they cross me, but instead educate them in a moment. The seed that I choose to plant, do I confirm in someone that the world is shit and never going to be made well? Or do I affirm in them that there is a possibility for something more, for something better? That happens every single moment. And that is a discipline. I'm not telling you it's easy, and I'm not telling you that's the way for everybody, but it is the thing that guides me. It is the thing that guides me. Right?
Yeah, I got
it's you. Live recognizing that God, what we know as God, what we know as the power of all potentialities, what we know as the cosmic egg up here, the cosmic egg, all potentialities existing within the cosmic egg, surrounded by the infinity of the Ouroboros, right? All potentialities exist in every single moment. Multiple dimensions, multiple impacts on multiple dimensions. In every word, in every breath, in every conspiracy that we speak, whether positive or negative, every moment, we are creating a future. What is the future that we are creating in this moment? What is that requires you to be present? That's why I keep going back. We need to be right. What is the saying? It is only through a well-rested you that I do my best work. That's why we have been turned into machines of labor. Gotta eat, gotta sleep. Can't sleep if I can't make no money. Can't eat if I can't make no money, because then I won't have no household. That's why we're turned into machines, so that we cannot be present in the moment. We cannot be God as creators, as God in the moment. That's why I named it that. God is in the moment. Not in the moment. God is the moment. Is the moment. Mm-hmm. It's all the potential that exists in every moment. How I treat people, how I show up for people, how I care for people's feelings, even when they be in douchebags. I do. That's my burden. That's my labor. Mm-hmm. I ain't saying this for everybody. I'm not saying this for everybody. Some people, their labor is going to be to cleave motherfuckers' heads off. I totally accept that. That once we get this shit to cracking, once the temple of evolutionary emergence is alive and in everybody's face, because that's what I'm scheming on. Mm-hmm. A marketing campaign, right? Finding a brick and mortar, calling into our existence the brick and mortar that already belongs to us, creating a global committee, right? Once the temple of evolutionary emergence is in your face as a force to be reckoned with, which it will be, because I'm still all about building institutions of dual and contending power. Building institutions of dual and contending power. There's going to be blowback. There's going to be blowback. And so we're going to need people who are not me. We're going to need people who are not me. We're going to need people who are, like my homeboy Abasi, who are going to be like, the soldiers for the execution of the mother's will, to secure the execution of the mother's will. We're going to need, witches and wizards who function to energetically and spiritually protect, cover, and support the execution of the mother's will, while we remain what? As Black women, as women of color, and as women in general. well rested, centered, and able to connect to the moment, to God as the moment, so that we can radically and rapidly execute the will of the mother on earth in real time. I hope that was clear. What can you do daily? You can sit in ceremony, whatever that looks like for you. Ceremony don't have to be psychedelics. They help. But ceremony don't have to be psychedelics. It can be taking a deliberate day off and saying, I am turning off my phone for a 24-hour period. I am going to some space where all I can hear is the natural sounds and my own thoughts. Tell me what it is. You be prayerful though. My prayer has always been, allow me to be open to receive what you have for me, even if it makes me uncomfortable. Allow me to be open enough to receive what is for me, even if it makes me uncomfortable. That's a hell of a prayer, to leave yourself open for spirit to do and say to you what she needs to. Allow me to be. I said that, baby, when I say I said that prayer for 6 weeks on the open road all the way across this country. And she put on a fucking fireworks show for me the whole way, every step of the way. Mm-hmm. Allow me to be open to receive what is for me, what you need for me to hear, what you need for me to see, even if it makes me uncomfortable. Start with that. Take your ass out somewhere. You in California, take your ass to the beach or to the mountains or to the woods. Sit at the base of some tree with your bare feet. You feel me? And allow her to speak to you. Now be able to see signs, be able to see omens, read omens. Like, I'm gonna post some more pictures, but this hummingbird while we were at the retreat hit the glass window and fell on the ground. So we thought he was hurt. Oh, poor little hummingbird. He fell. He's hurt. He wasn't moving. He was alive, but he wasn't moving. So my homegirl put a little stick out and he crawled right up on the stick. So we went right into crisis management. Oh my God, there's got to be like a bird. You know how they have like bird, what do you call them? Sanctuaries, bird sanctuaries. Almost every city has them, right? They got like little bird sanctuaries. So I'm going on the phone trying to Google bird sanctuaries in the area because the little hummingbird done broke a wing or something because he ain't moving. We all then came up to the bird. Hummingbirds. This girl has a hummingbird in her hand, just chilling. We all pat his little head, rub his little underbeak. He's just cooing and carrying on. And she was like, oh my God, I think he's really hurt. He's just not going nowhere. I ain't never seen the hummingbird be this still. As soon as we walked back outside and she put the stick on the ground, he done got love from 7 women. As soon as she puts the stick back on the ground, he takes off like nothing ever happened. She held in her hand a hummingbird. Do you know how big that is? She didn't even think it was big. I was like, boo. That was a message just for you. You saw him when he fell. You picked him up. I said, that was something for you. You need to sit still for a moment and hear what that message was for you, right? So that's what I mean when I say see the signs, learn to read omens. What my practice has been is if I see an animal of any kind, if they cross my path, if they do something unusual, I will take a moment to just Google what is the spiritual meaning of this animal. What are they drawing my attention to? Because contrary to popular belief, animals aren't here to just decorate the earth for our pleasure. They are communicators too. Spirit chooses to use them too. Right? So that's what I would say. I would say, especially now, right? You know, we on the eve of this lunar eclipse, no better time than the present. Take your ass outside today. I'm going to the beach as soon as I finish this damn 4-hour live. It's gonna be 2 hours.
I apologize, everybody. It's my fault.
That ain't you, shoot, it's me. But that's a word for all of y'all. Take it's the Virgo lunar eclipse in Aries. I think that's right. I might be wrong. I think it's a Virgo lunar eclipse. But take your ass outside today on the eve of this lunar eclipse, which is if you're on the East Coast, I don't remember, but Google it. For me, it is 7:53 a.m. tomorrow on the Pacific Coast. So go outside today and tomorrow. I know most of you work on Mondays, but go outside between today and tomorrow. We're in the crest of this lunar eclipse. Go outside. Go somewhere and get naked if you can. Go get in the ocean or a fresh body of water where you live, or sit at a tree. If the desert is what you got, go outside. Bathe in the energy of this lunar eclipse, which is a preview of things to come with this massive eclipse that's happening on April 8th. But for the next few weeks in particular, just be really mindful, very present. Let that be the mantra, that God is the moment, that whatever I can think of, whatever I can create, whatever I can imagine, I can do it with this moment. Every interaction with every human being is creating a future. What is the future I'm creating in this moment in my interactions with other human beings? Do I look at them and say men ain't shit, so I don't even say hey when somebody speak? I get it. I get it. But for these next few weeks, let's try to imagine the future and make it present. Without all the isms, let's try to imagine the future and make it present. At least for these powerful energies that we about to move into. We just came out of this equinox, which was preceded by that powerful last of the year new moon. We entering into this full moon, which is also a lunar eclipse. And just a few days after that, we got the what's happening on so we had the equinox, then we had this lunar eclipse coming up, and then a few weeks after that, 2 weeks after that, we got this big, massive, giant conspiracy theory laden solar eclipse happening across the country. So, I know there's a lot of noise. There will continue to be a lot of noise, especially over these next few weeks. They're going to create so much noise, boo. They're going to create so much noise, boo. They're going to create so much noise. If you can't scroll through social media without getting caught up on all the gruesome headlines that are about to come down the pike, because they are, without all the terrible, the world is gone to hell in a hell basket feeds, it's not to tell you to ignore what's happening in the world. It's to say, take the time that you would spend lamenting about that shit and focus on this world that we want to create in this moment. Sovereignty for every individual on earth. Sovereignty means safety, sanity, wholeness, support, fearlessness, courageousness, fully supported from the time they're born until the time they are reborn in the mother. They are replanted in the earth. This is the future I'm creating in this moment that represents all potentialities. This new earth, this new world, this new age, this evolutionary leap forward for all of humankind. That's what I'm focusing on. If you want victory for Palestine, if you want victory is what we want. Victory is what we want for the people suffering on earth. Victory is what we want. Victory is what we want. All right? Victory is what we want. Put that in your prayers. Victory for the people of Palestine. Victory for the women of Palestine. May the mother emerge. And show her face, for the people of Palestine, for the people of Congo, and so on and so on and so on and so on. May the mother, we welcome, put it in the present, we welcome the emergence of the great one. We welcome the reemergence of the mother. May her love, scatter through the earth like the waters of heaven of great Aquarius or whatever. You feel me? Make it your own. But willing the future into the now. Willing the future into the now. Right now, every moment. Especially for these next big energetic movements, man. I can't think of any way to.
Yeah, I was just looking at the calendar and it looks like the eclipse is in Libra.
The lunar eclipse?
Yeah.
Like this one tomorrow.
Tomorrow, uh-huh.
Okay, Libra. Okay. All right. Yes. Thank you for that. And then what about the one on April 8th?
It's in Taurus.
Oh, nice.
Which is
Yes.
interesting because both of those are ruled by Venus. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Come on in the room, mother. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. So that's another job for y'all the next 3-4 weeks is be pretty on purpose. I'm telling you, adorn yourself. I'm gonna have to discipline my because I got up this morning saying I was gonna put some makeup on and then I didn't. But that's gonna be beautiful on purpose. Not because you're trying to win anything, but because you're trying to show off for the mother. I'm my mother's daughter. I'm my mother's son. I'm my mother's child. And I am going to put my best self on display. Beauty, because that's what she represents. Venus, Oshun. That's the mother, right? Inanna, Ashtareth. That's Venus, right?
I'm
Um,
sorry. I said Taurus. I'm sorry. I think it's Aries. I apologize for that.
is it?
Yeah,
It's
sometimes I
happening
get
in
my
Aries.
symbols. Sometimes I
It's
get my
happening
symbols
in
mixed up.
Aries. Say that again.
I said sometimes I get my symbols mixed up. I think it's Aries.
The the eclipse is happening. So each movement has a sign that it's in, but it happens,
Mm-hmm.
in so like all right. Um the new moon that we just moved out of,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It was what was it? It was
It was Pisces, wasn't it?
it was a Pisces new moon in I gotta learn astrology. That's on my list of shit to do. It's to like learn the science, not just listen to other astrologers, but like learn the science. I can't remember. It was a Pisces new moon, but I don't know how they go. Chad, we'll see. I'll
Mm-hmm.
figure it out and tell y'all later. But even still that still holds. You said this eclipse tomorrow is in what did you say? Libra. Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, nice. Because Libra is about justice. Libra is the mother to Virgo, right? It's yeah. So yeah, some things might be coming down the pike this week. Like somebody was telling me something this morning that happened. What did she say? Oh, yeah, I read so much every day. This woman sent me an email saying, "Oh, I don't remember just that fast." Okay, so I will do the dirty work. I will keep my eyes on the headlines, but y'all don't. I still say, um, pretty up, be beautiful on purpose, adorn yourselves, even if you just go into the corner store, adorn yourself, make yourself beautiful. Oh, dig in my ear. Um, and let me find out some more information about these eclipses, and especially one on April 8th. I'm still trying to get out of the state. I'm still trying to go to Arkansas, but they price gouging on all the tickets for the cities that are in the line of totality, like crazy price gouging. I looked for a round trip airline ticket and a rental car. I was like, fuck it, I'll just sleep in the car. I wanted to go where I did crystal quartz and get some more quartz up under the eclipse. $1,200. $1,200 for a round trip airline ticket to Arkansas and a rental car for 3 days. $1,200. So they price gouging like hell. So we'll see. But just be deliberate over the next few weeks. I'll look for more details about which ways that we can be deliberate. But still the same thing. We're in a wood dragon year. Anything centered around the mother, offerings to the mother, more time outdoors, especially in the wood element, grass, trees, so on and so forth. But the wood element's mother is the open water. It's the sea. It's the ocean. It's deep primordial water. So those are some things to start with. I'm going to make a calendar for this week of the lives that I'm going to do. They're mostly going to be morning lives because I have got to work a lot of overtime this week to make up for the time that I took off from my injury and for the retreat. But I think I'm gonna have to close this down. I'm exhausted now. I've been talking for 4 hours. There's a lot of really good comments. Let's see. Goddess Essence Energy says, I was just saying that to myself. Wow, what we have done to this earth body. That's why our bodies are in the spaces they're in. It's all encoded when we slow down and actually hear how funny that correlative to the heart is. Walking blueprints. I feel there are many mysteries about the mother that the son will never understand, even if we explain it. Why? So why can't the sons be reborn as daughters to truly understand our mystery? Again, I said in that live, the key is not explaining. The key is only experiencing. But explaining is necessary to teach. We still haven't created the spaces for them to experience. That's what it is. That's the mystery, right? And so we have to create that. I don't know what the answer is. I feel like what we did on the equinox is a beginning. I feel like the ceremony that we did to lay to rest the ills of this life and to deliberately be reborn in the body of the mother is a starting point. And what we did was we split the group in half and we functioned as midwives to each other's birth. So the first 4 women went down, we buried them. This was their death ceremony. We buried them in the earth and we cared for them. If they needed water, if they needed snacks or whatever, we gave that to them. We functioned as their doula and midwives during the period that they were in utero, if you will, right? And then when they were ready to be born, we helped to birth them. And we wrapped them. I said, I told the women, we have to treat them like babies. We wrapped them. We walked them over to the fire. We cared for them. They didn't do anything. Then we cleaned them off in the spring. There are hot springs on the property. We cleaned them off and rewrapped them and sat them by the fire. And after some time went by, then the guard switched hands. They became the midwives to those of us who buried them in their death ceremony in the first place. So we can teach men that. We can teach men what it means to be integratively a part of the birthing process. We can teach them that. I have a friend who told me the story. He and I worked at a spa together. He is a massage therapist, and he was telling me that he and his partner were pregnant with his first child, and how he wanted to play a really integral role in the whole process of their child being born. And so he was like, "Look, I'm a massage therapist. I'm going to go become a certified doula." And so he went to he's in San Diego. He said he went to several locations trying to, enter into these groups to become a doula for his partner. And he said, and this guy is a total like hardcore rigid alpha male. Okay. Like he don't call outside no lines. You feel me? And so he was very angry because he said that the women were gatekeeping pregnancy and the process, and all he wanted to do was be a more effective partner to his partner while she was going through the birthing process. And he felt like him becoming a doula would be the best way for him to advocate for his partner. But he said he went to 3 different spaces that were, they only allowed females to become doulas. He said, ironically, because he is not progressive, you guys. He is not. Okay. So he said, ironically, the only space that would allow me to come and take their doula certification was a space that was primarily LGBTQIA plus people. It was a doula program for LGBTQIA plus people. And here he is, this Black nationalist, hardcore, not progressive at all, being invited into this space by gender nonconforming people and the like, to become a doula when he had been turned away by these other spaces to get his doula certification. That is a very clear example. And the way when we talked about it, the emotion that he had was rage. It was resentment. He was really frustrated that there was no space for him in these spaces where women were, where he wanted to get access to this information to be a better partner to the woman that he is having a baby with. And again, there's two things that are true at the same time, can be true at the same time, especially without an explanation. These women, in general, women do not trust men in spaces. They always trust that men have ulterior motives and all of this stuff. And so, no, you can't come up in here talking about being no doula. Like, what you want to be a doula for? What are you, a creep? Like, what's your angle? You feel me?
Yeah, that is our go-to.
He is demonstrating in real time what came to me in this download that I got from the mother, that he was really frustrated, and that frustration turned to anger and resentment because his only motive was to be able to advocate for his partner, to be a better partner during this process, especially as they had already been having some medical issues with her anyway, right? And so what is that going to do for him? Is that going to force him to kind of like hanker down on, because he is a cool guy, sweet, very well-intentioned person, really, really, really big-hearted, great therapist. He still has some very deep-seated, misogynistic beliefs. I've always been working with him over the years, and he yields a little. You know, he's young, very young. He yields a little. He's like, oh, I never thought about it that way. I never thought about it that way. He's open to be malleable, right? But what does an experience like this teach him? It makes him hunker down on any misogynistic tendencies that he has. Well, fuck them bitches. They wouldn't let me come do this thing that I wanted to do. And my partner is a woman who's having a baby. Like, why you got an attitude about me wanting to become doula? Why I got to have ulterior motive? I just want to be a better partner to my boo. You feel me? So you can see even in this short story, how what she said last Saturday gets replayed in a lot of ways. Now, I'm not talking about entitlement, because there are ways that males, because of this power dynamic that already is in place, attempt to force through entitlement. So being able to navigate these spaces and create new solutions that open up the space, that make men more able to hear and receive what might be a very valid solution to this condition that we all suffer from, which opens up a way for women to be able to say, okay, I don't have to control everything. I can trust some men right now. And so in that trust, what will I allow them to do? How will I allow them to show up for me the way that I need? That's trust that does that, not force. Trust is what allows men to show up the way that we say we need them to show up. That's what it means to love as the mother. Trust, trust, trust. The baby fully is the expression of trust. She just trusts. That's the only emotion that they have. Mama's there. That's it. As long as mama's there, everything gonna happen. All the needs are gonna get met. Allowing men to show up in the same way. That's how they experience that love that we're talking about, where perfect trust exists. In my estimation. I ain't saying I'm the authority. I'm not. I'm just saying what was communicated to me, and how can we implement that in real time to begin to establish trust, at least in those spaces where men demonstrate that they want to be able to show up in the best possible, in the most integral and possible way for this mission that we're on. Too many males have contacted me. And I had not yet created an idea or of a solution other than what I'm talking about when we're in space together, how to honor how to honor each other's sovereignty, but it's deeper than that. It is how to quell the destructive rage that exists in males in general, and how to get to the origin of where it comes from in the first place. How we as women too have work that we need to do with self and among each other. That doesn't mean that we don't have sacred spaces that are for women. We have sacred spaces that are for women. We have sacred spaces that are for males. We have sacred spaces that are